言うことは一つだけ。絶対負けねえ。この拳が砕けようともゴールは俺が守る。ゴールは一つ、ここだ。
How's it going, everybody? There's Nothing Excess with a new player analysis. Now that Dreamfest is upon us, we've got Misugi, Ken, and a new version of Hyuga. Misugi is the only player in this Dreamfest banner that I have yet to review, besides the Ken Wakashimazu, obviously the new player. And this new Hyuga is a Hyuga that will be coming in the Time Attack event, and I'm here to tell you why you may be interested in actually performing very well in that Time Attack event as a result. So without further delay, let's get right to it. The first player will be Jun Misugi, game ready. He is a competent Japanese defender. He suffers primarily from being really similar to El Cid Pierre, also Dreamfest, also from not having a skill or any skills really as good as his. With an S block that caps at 420, it's hard to truly recommend this guy as a starting blocker, considering he's technically better at using S volleys than he is at blocking. So that you understand what I mean by that, S magnificent jumping volley on him would be 45k volley attempt, but his jump block only reaches 42,189. That said, he's also solid enough at passing an interception that it'd be an interesting defensive midfielder to try and stymie long shooters, or a blocker off to the side who comes in for support and is also able to pass cut. That would be a better role for him if his interception wasn't a 295 cap A skill, but alas, it is what he can do. So pros, solid blocking stats, 10.2k with comparable passing and intercept, 9.2k each. No slouch in tackling and dribbling. Passive lets him work even when almost out of stamina. But for cons, almost all of his easily obtainable defensive skill momentums, save for his passes, are kind of low. He has a hard to source A Skylab interception, which you would have to kill the red 2017 Misugi for if you wanted to use it. So his positions are defensive midfielder and defender. His role is defense. I rate him an A. He's not exactly the best Dreamfest unit in the game, but it is what it is. I would not go for broke for him, which means obviously don't go crazy spending if you're looking just for this guy. For limit breaks, shot power 25s, pass intercept technique 17-17-16 split. That should give you a very competent interceptor who can also pass the ball, and also a pretty it's actually a mistake. It should be block power 25-25. But so when I said shot just now, actually pretend I said block. That'll be fixed in the actual screen. It's been a long day. Stamina on 123. As you can see his stats, offensively he's kind of whatever except for pass, which is over 6,000. That results in 8.5k dribble, 9.2k pass, 8.7k tackle, 10.2k block, and 9.2k intercept. He's also good at low ball, so he does better defending against the low ball than other characters would. For his skill build, S jump block, obviously what he comes with, then you should give him the S drive pass from the other green version, the gacha one. If you can give him the A Skylab interception, do so. If not, keep magnificent interception, S team play tackle, and S magnificent footwork. You'll notice there's a lot of S skills here, but that's mostly what he has to rely on, since that's a lot of what he gets, and the strengths of the A versions are not quite as good. You'll be mostly using the tackle and dribble as side options when you're certain the opponent will use a pass cut. Otherwise, you will be trying to deliver the ball off of him with S drive pass. S jump block really deserved to be better. The entire unit, frankly, quite lackluster despite his Dreamfest status and the character it is. It's a Misugi. You would figure Misugi's would be better in this game. Not entirely sure why he is the way he is. It is what it is. Next up, we've got Ken Wakashimazu, the character you're actually waiting for. The karate-inspired technique. Here's the second Dreamfest goalkeeper, and as always, anytime one of these monsters comes to the forefront, there's a lot to talk about. First and foremost, we have to address something that a lot of you may not have actually thought about, and that's the cost of Ken's skills. Ken, historically, has always had a problem with his skills, and that's that they're all really, really expensive to use. Really expensive. They're overpriced when compared to other goalkeepers in the same range. For example, his solid block, even though it's a 390 catch, is way more expensive than... It's a 490 catch, but it's way more expensive than windmill catch at like 395 almost. His solid block's more expensive than... Yeah, as I was just saying. His punching skills are much more expensive than comparable punching skills from other goalkeepers, including those from Genzo. For example, WAKADORYU... the WAKADORYU defensive chop is more expensive than SGK double punch. And SGK double punch is 210, but for some reason the same skill, practically, in terms of strength, is 230 on Ken, which is really pointless. I don't understand why they did that. I guess I kind of understood why they did it for the Samurai version, the 2017 version. That's because he had tenacity, but here he doesn't, and in general, versions of him don't. So I don't know why everything that they give him is costed the way it is. They sort of seem to rectify that with this version because WAKADORYU defensive karate punch is a lot stronger than his last punch. It's actually a lot stronger than any other punch in the game. It's crazy strong at 500 momentum. And it might be 45 more points than the next best punch. 45 more points than the next best punch in the game, and it's not much more expensive. I think it's just 240, which is, and so he's tied for the second best punch in the game. He's tied, and the first best punch, he's the sole owner. So how does it stack up overall? Well, there's no other comparable puncher in the game. We're gonna have to look at him from the standpoint of raw saving potential. That means Ken versus Genzo, no passives, full proper single stat limit breaks. Ken Wakashimazu, Dreamfest, his WAKADORYU defensive karate chop is 72,481. WAKADORYU defensive chop is 65,158. Genzo, Dreamfest, his S perfect GK catch is 73,116, while jumping GK catch is 71,017. There's, however, an additional side to this, and it has to do with the Forbidden Arts. Yes, we're talking about the hybrid build. I wouldn't personally recommend it. I think that the top levels of play, especially lately, you should probably commit to min-maxing your primary save. But if you must do the hybrid build, however, you'll find that you're not trading away that much power. S WAKADORYU defensive karate punch with the standard 25-25 3-19-3 hybrid build, you go down to 71,265 total punching power. If you were to use S solid block as your catch, and you were hybriding, so instead of having 60,524 catch in a regular standard punch build, you'd have 65,457 catch in a proper hybrid build. That means that you're trading away only 1,200 total punch post the skill. So you're getting a lot of catching power for basically not trading only 12. I mean, you're just trading 1,200 punch. It's really not that big of a deal. A lot of you are probably going to be tempted into it. It's up to you. I would recommend against it, but it's up to you. I leave the decision to you. A lot of people will tell you it's probably a better idea, specifically because having more catch is very valuable. I don't necessarily disagree with them. I would go full punch. At the end of the day, that's the problem with the Pandora's box that was open once the idea of the hybrid build was introduced to everyone with the introduction of World Cup version of Dieter Müller. The question finally becomes one of whether you think doing a hybrid build here is a good idea. Ken can certainly do it, but S triangle jump is very weak. So if you don't have solid block, Ken doesn't have any other strong catching skills. Basically, if you don't have solid block, don't hybrid. Triangle jump is very, very, very bad. He's primarily a puncher with a ton of punching options that you ought to consider first before committing to better manage your stamina. Genzo could have gone hybrid too, but his punches are even worse, so stay the course and commit punch all the way. Pros, the best puncher in the game bar none, completes 45% Blue Japan in a way that has Silfarian drooling so much that he might have mortgaged his house. The ultimate backup for Rainbow All Japan teams to counter red and Japanese teams, does well with high balls. Also, because his passive is Asian Killer 15%, that means he beats not just everyone in Japan, but he also beats everyone that's an Asian qualifier character. For instance, the Thailand players, the Saudi Arabian players, the Korean players, Chinese players. He's just overall pretty strong. Like, he does pretty well against Fei Shang, even though Fei Shang would normally obliterate him. So for cons, though, hybrid build suffers from the catch skill you'd want to use being very expensive. It's weaker than perfect SGK, but it's still very expensive at 390. And triangle jump's just awful. Punching means opponent will get the ball back often after a save. It's just what it is. So if you're going to actually go for the proper punching limit break, it's 25 punch, 25 speed, 25 power. But if you must hybrid him, remember that the hybrid build is punch catch 25, speed 3, technique 3, power 19. Moving on to his stats. His stats, he's got 1,054 stamina. And his punch and catch are very high. All his stats are really high, but notice that he's a good high baller, which means that he does a little bit better against people who are trying to use high balls than other characters. So in that regard, he might be better than Genzo. For his in-match stats, punch 12.9k, catch 12.1k, very close to each other. And now, finally, you'll notice that we have here his skill build. We have one for just punching, and we have one for what happens if you want to do some other stuff. For his punch skill build only, WAKADORYU defensive karate punch is what he comes with. Then you're going to teach him the A triangle jump defensive chop, B karate punch defense, C back kick, and then B triangle jump. The old garbage green Ken here will be useful because you can pull off his B punch and also grab the A punch from him. Make sure you pass both over and level them up to a nice place so that you have options for every kind of garbage long distance nonsense you can think of. The only reason for B triangle jump is if you think their long distance shot is so crappy, but it's meant to cause a situation where the ball rebounds to a forward. So, they tried to like set up with like a Colts loop shot so that your goalkeeper would have to spend a lot of stamina, or not spend a bunch of stamina, but it'll drop the ball maybe in front of like Schneider. Use triangle jump, keep the ball, and start your offense. Now, if you do want to hybrid him, though, you would, instead of teaching triangle jump, teach him solid block. If you're really committed to the idea of going hybrid, this is the only way to do it. You'll notice you only take one catching skill. The reason for this is that all the other catching skills are too expensive and bad. Only S solid block is any good on Ken. That's considering it's one of the more inefficient catches in the game, despite being pretty strong. It's the real drag of playing him as a hybrid. The final numbers might make it seem worth it, but in practice a little less desirable than you might think. He is a goalkeeper. Obviously, role means keeper because that's what he is. I rate him a double S. He is one of the best goalkeepers in the game. I guess he's tied for first with Genzo. Would you go for broke for him? Obviously, yes. I feel like you should go for broke for him, even if you're not really playing in blue. Just, he is that strong, and he is that good, and he will open other avenues for more teams for you. And now finally, the event player, we have Kojo Huga, aspiring #1 striker. He's a weird unit. It's clearly K-Lab's attempt at giving every player in the game in time a character that will be very effective as a scorer for the vast majority of the players in the game. The thing is that green players more or less desperately want this guy, right? There's no really good green versions of Hyuga yet. This one very much fits the goal or the role of green scorer. He has 13k shot and a 500 momentum, 5 blow away long distance cannon that basically demands that you use it as soon as you can give him the ball. There's practically no other strategy. You give him the ball, shoot the ball. It's that simple every time. I'm not sure how strong that is, but on paper it's certainly terrifying. And the other crazy part is that he also has 15% block killer. So even if you try to block it, he's more than likely going to blow you away. It's actually probably, I think, higher in the final version, but I don't remember right now, and I'm really not going to check. I'm exhausted. He's a forward, role a striker, and also for his skills, because he does get that skill that he gets is worth giving maybe to other versions of Hyuga. If you really wanted to, maybe. It really is up to you. I would rate him an S. You can't really go for broke for him. You just have to try to win the time attack. And apparently the time attack is coming back later, or there will be other ways to get the drills for this unit. So don't panic if you don't get him maxed out right away. Pros 13k shot and a 500 momentum shot with 5 blowaways and no distance decay. He is another owner of a 15-5 skill for Green Japan. He's basically free, and he does better against blockers that might try to stop his shot. He's got a ton of stamina. For cons, players won't really get him the first time around, since only the top 3 players will unlock him on their first try, and because they will be the only people to get 100 drills necessary to evolve him. And he can literally do nothing else other than shoot. The only reason we're getting him dribble in this limit break is in the hopes that if you do have to dribble, you can actually do something. Limit break, dribble 25, speed 25, shot 25, power 25. Don't bother with anything else. You're not going to need it. You may not even have to give him the dribble, but just give it to him for completion's sake. Stamina, 1146. As you can see, his base shot is 10,161. That means that even though his power is kind of garbagey, it's good enough for 13,071 shot. It's the highest shooting character in the game pre-passive. For his skill build, S Stormy Resurrection, which is the skill that he starts with. S Overhead Tiger from the Valentine's Blue Hyuga. S Descending Raiju Shot, if you could find it, from a spare Dreamfest Hyuga. And then A Tiger Dribble for an attempt. And that's pretty much it. That's really all you're going to give him. There's no reason to teach him anything else. Keep yourself with some offensive options in case inexplicably you have to run forward with a dribble. Really, you're not going to do that, but just keep it around just in case. For the most part, give him the ball and blow 5 people away. The aerial options are for the times where you're in the box and trapping isn't an option. You're likely to punch through blocks anyway if the shots have been invested into. Stormy Resurrection hits 65,355, Descending Raiju gets to 64,048, and Overhead Tiger hits 59,473. And that's pretty much it for these 3 characters. I won't be pulling right now. I probably won't be pulling at all on this banner. I really don't know. I will be opening, because I know you guys heard I got demonetized. I'm going to be opening a Patreon so that you guys can just directly support me if you're interested in that. Eventually, I guess when I get remonetized, I'll be able to get also ad revenue, but it wasn't a whole lot of it anyway. A lot of people use ad blockers, and on top of that, there's just not a whole lot of I'm not getting like crazy amounts of click-throughs. I know some people are like, wow, you're getting pretty popular, but in all reality, I'm still dwarfed by a lot of I guess less large channels that maybe produce less content, or that people are always coming up to me like, you make the best content, and it's like, that's great, but I don't have the viewership yet. So we'll get there, you know, time and effort, and with your support also, that'll help me out a lot. So if you guys want to do that, there's no more membership, just wait for the Patreon. I'll post on it. If you sub to me, you will get a notification when I create the post, and I'll link to the Patreon, and then you guys, if you want to join in on there, you can do it. If not, you don't have to. Don't feel obligated. But there will be some perks there. Obviously, the perks that I give right now for channel membership will transfer over. It'll be same idea of if you pay like $5 a month, you'll be able to join, and basically you get like instant replies to questions that you might have about the game. Like if you have doubts, stuff like that. Maybe not instant. Obviously, I'm not at the computer or at the phone all the time. But if you ask me something, I'll directly answer to you. I'll give you an answer. If you need help with your team, I'll tell you some advice for you. And there'll be higher tier rewards as well for people who need more specific stuff. Maybe they need me to like drill them in how to be better at the game. I don't know. We'll work out the kinks on that. There's always room for growth and improvement. So anyways, guys, thanks for being here and for checking out this video. If you have any comments, leave them below. Remember to click like. If you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button and click on the little bell so you are notified whenever I upload new content. So again, thanks, and I hope to see you guys soon.